This is our paired work research article presentation. Article is titled Developing Effective Reading Skills in Zulu, written by Sandra Land, who's a professor at Durban University of Technology in South Africa on 2014. This revolves around our target community of the IsiZulu. The primary objective of the research was to show whether the orthography and features of the IsiZulu language were complex. Educators must consider them when teaching. This study looks for some of the strategies utilized by fluent readers in the IsiZulu language that can be taught to IsiZulu first language readers. The study recorded the eye movements of fluent IsiZulu adult readers after being given 4 distinct 100-word texts taken from novels. They focused on what the assigned orthographies required of these readers and what strategies they utilize. The technology used was a Swedish-built device called a Visograph, along with software from a Reading Plus company in the United States. What they did was they recorded the different eye movements that occurred during reading. The participants included a total of 150 respondents who underwent a time-silent reading test. Of those, a total of 33 recordings were approved for use in the study. Here we show a breakdown of the 33 recordings. 18 is male, 15 is female. The age range less than 24 participants, ages 20 to 50, 25 participants. Participants over 50 totaled a number of 4. A breakdown of their background shows the study population comprised of 24 professionals, 11 were part-time postgrad students, 5 full-time undergrad students, and 4 high school students. And then pictured here you can see somebody actually using a Visograph and what the written registers look like and the results as well. We also wanted to share a brief history of a couple other reading literary devices. One is known on the top right as a metronoscope, and then on the bottom right you can see what is known as the Reading Eye Tabletop Eye Movement Camera, which was developed by inventor Stan Taylor in 1956. On the top left there is a photograph of Helen Keller with the original Visograph machine. In that picture, second from the left, is the actual inventor of the Visograph machine, Robert Naumburg. The Visograph is used to measure eye movements during silent reading. It looks for fixations, regressions, fixation duration, reading activity, reading rate, and any cross correlations between the right and left eye. Of this study, all texts in the study were judged and deemed to be admissible by 3 lecturers in education from UKZN, which is the University of KwaZulu-Natal, who were first language IsiZulu speakers. 2 of the texts were labeled as easy, and the remaining 2 as hard. Readers' eye movements were recorded as they read all 4 texts silently, and they looked for some of these different eye movements. Again, fixations, which clearly are identified points fixations clearly identified points in the visual field that are focused on. Fluent readers show a consecutive pattern of fixations along the text lines. They looked for saccades, which are the movements of points of focus between fixations and are measured counting the letters between fixations. They also looked for regressions, which show up on a register when a reader reverses course of vision when reading a text, shifting the point of focus to the left. Immediately after reading the required text, the participants were asked to recall what they remembered to check for reading comprehension. Next, they went through the stimulated recall process where they sat with the researcher, revisited the recorded eye movements and related features that went with them, and then went over them individually with the researchers. Through the data collected in the recollection process, the researchers could identify the strategies utilized. And now for some additional information that we did extrapolate from the study, including some direct quotes from Professor Sandra Land, who wrote the study in 2014. The first quote we have is, with the near perfect correlation between letters and sounds, IsiZulu orthography is transparent and consistent. We also wanted to note that Professor Land noted that the research has not yet established how long it should take for beginner IsiZulu readers to recognize unfamiliar words. Some more important information is that IsiZulu has an agglutinative, which is a clump structure, and its conjoined writing system give it unusually long and complex words, as you'll see in the examples. And then she also noted that although tone modifies meaning in spoken IsiZulu, there are no tone markers in written IsiZulu. Therefore, readers must either hold alternate meanings in mind, where there is ambiguity until they confirm meaning from contextual cues, or reread phrases to decide on their meaning. Because IsiZulu does have a shallow orthography, it does not use diacritics or circumflexes. And you'll see an example at the bottom. And now for some preliminary results from the stimulated recall with the researcher. The researchers note that the readers skip 1% of words due to recognition. They would read 25% of the words with single fixation using automaticity. They would use longer periods to process perceived text when compared to readers of other alphabetic languages. The average saccade length in the study was 4.05 characters, suggesting the readers were processing small grain size units of text as they read. And then time-wise, regressions occur as often as readers of other alphabetic languages. However, regressions over span of text occur more often, with one regression every 24 characters. And then these were the strategies that were actually identified. Automatic recognition, reconstruction of speech sounds as small grain size processing strategy for complex words per Professor Land, increased attentiveness to morphemes that change meanings, pausing and trying out distinct tonal spaces, pausing and taking a moment to consciously integrate elements of text they had decoded into a construction of the meaning of the text so far, per Professor Land. They also were reading to make sense of text, shifting focus left, visualization of images, as well as linking to previous knowledges, which was evident in the study at points where eye movement showed readers stopping momentarily up to 3 times to reread pieces of text. At the end of the day, was it a mission accomplished? Professor Landon indicated at the beginning of the study that their goal was to identify strategies that fluent IsiZulu readers use when encountered with easy to difficult text. With the aid of the Swedish device, the Visigraph, and its American software, they were able to record the eye movements of 33 participants, and here's the nitty-gritty. The study did conclude that fluent IsiZulu language users who are competent readers knowingly use effective decoding strategies that could be deemed academically beneficial to less competent IsiZulu language speakers and readers. Professor Landon also noted that the strategies identified could be integrated into the reading programs in schools in conjunction with reading instructors and educators. She did list 3 different strategies that she felt were quintessential in aiding these IsiZulu learners. So the verdict is yes, all readers involved in this study clearly demonstrated a compilation of strategies that in fact increase their ability to effectively access the meaning of these IsiZulu texts. Thank you so much.